The following program, Live and Learn, is made possible by the Seniors Foundation and key benefactor BVH Architects. You can check out online information for older adults at seniorsfoundation.org.
Welcome back to Live and Learn. I'm really excited about today's show because March is National Nutrition Month, and we have two registered dietitians here from Aging Partners. I'm Dolores Lintel, and we are going to be talking today about how to help plan our meals and eat well as we grow older. Welcome, Denise, and welcome, Paula, to the show. We're so happy to have you here today. We will be talking first, I think, if you would, to help us with some tools to help us shop well and plan our meals well. So let's start with a basic label. Explain how to read the food label on the packaging.
Great. I always tell everyone we have these wonderful tools available to all of us to purchase and consume a really great diet, because we all know good health is essential as we get older or at any age, but we need to be using the advice and the tools that are available. The nutrition label, the nutrition facts label, is on every product that we buy at the grocery store. There are some things that do not have a nutrition label, but they have a standard of identity, and that's part of the labeling laws.
And that would be like raw vegetables and those kind of things?
Ketchup or peanut butter, some of those things don't necessarily have a nutrition label. The nutrition facts label is broken down into several parts. It includes both the portion size and then it includes the calories. So if you're looking to reduce your calories, you need to be looking at that. The second or the third part of the label includes the major nutrients in it, including the fats, carbohydrates, and protein. And you can look at that and see if it's a good source of protein or a good source of certain types of nutrients. The other part of the label is towards the right, and it is the percent of the daily value. And that's based upon a diet that I believe is 2,000 calories a day. And so if you're consuming a lot more than that or a lot less, it has less relevance to that. But
but that would give you a basis to judge what your percentage of that particular item
would be.
Now,
not every food can provide all the nutrients for the whole day, so you need to be thinking about how you can put together different labels from different products that can provide you a good diet every day.
Now how does it break down with the fat contents and the cholesterol contents? Are those identified on the label as well?
Yes, they are, and the type of fat is there. And we are all concerned about the saturated fat, which would be the firm, solid fats, and we're trying to reduce that consumption. So you'll be looking for the types of fat that are in that product. Some nutrition labels are very easy to read because the product perhaps has a single ingredient,
such as a complex.
Other processed foods have a lot of ingredients, and so you'll be seeing, and perhaps it's fortified, so you'll be seeing a lot of information on that label. The other tool to put together is the MyPlate advice, and that is what I am encouraging a lot of people to look at their plate every day and see if half of your plate is fruits and vegetables. And I brought my little example.
So this illustrates, this is a new pyramid, I understand.
Well, it's the new plate. Because we're getting away from the pyramid and we're going to MyPlate, and we're advising people at least half of that plate should always be fruits and vegetables. And I have arrayed here.
I was going to say, we've got all kinds of charts here.
Ideas of adding fruits and vegetables. And we also included the very colorful fruits and vegetables. And the color in the fruit or the vegetable is indicative usually of the amount of phytochemicals in it. And those are all minor nutrients that we need every day.
So the brighter the color, the better they are for you?
Well, they're more likely to have the lycopene or the zeaxanthin or the anthocyanins, which are all essential phytochemicals that we're finding that are essential for good health.
Okay.
So half of your plate fruits and vegetables, and half of it in those fruits and vegetables should be very colorful. We advise people around 9 servings a day of fruits and
Oh,
vegetables,
wow.
and that's a
Does
lot.
potatoes count as a vegetable?
Potatoes are vegetable,
Okay.
but French fries and what is another vegetable that everyone eats a lot of? Mashed potatoes. You know, those very white, don't have a lot of color, so they wouldn't have a lot of these wonderful micronutrients that we're seeing.
And they'd have an awful lot of starch content, I would think. Huh?
Well, and French fries, you know, are very high in fat, so that I don't like to see a plate that's half French fries.
Okay.
Let's look at a plate that perhaps is half tossed salad with a romaine, or perhaps a red apple, or
Okay.
perhaps some tomatoes,
And
which
then
are
a cooked vegetable in addition to that?
in addition to that.
Okay.
And fruit juices and vegetable juices are another way of getting your 9 servings in, but we all know that, you know, they can add up to calories, and they're
The
missing
sugar.
some of the sugar. They're missing
Yeah.
some of the fiber, and they're high sources of sugar. So
Okay.
not always the best choice for getting your fruits and vegetables, but if you're down to the end of the day and short on servings, you know, have that small 6-ounce serving of vegetable juice.
And how do you get sufficient protein throughout the day?
Protein is essential to maintain our muscle mass and allow us to have be active, which is also one of the dietary guidelines. And we recommend that people have a good source of protein at every meal.
Okay.
We look for protein. About a 3-ounce serving would be about 23 grams of protein, and we recommend that at least
For each meal?
for most meals. At breakfast, you might look at a cheese or a yogurt or an egg as your protein source.
Or toast and peanut butter?
Toast and peanut butter. See, you know all this. But I've been talking a lot throughout at our nutrition sites, educating people about breakfast, that it's important to eat breakfast, and that people that have the best nutritional status are people that eat breakfast. And that breakfast can be a combination of, it doesn't have to be toast and egg, it could be pizza, it could be cottage cheese. Those are all good sources of protein
Okay.
for breakfast.
So everybody's taste and everybody's likes and what's in the refrigerator even makes a difference on what you eat for
Breakfast.
breakfast.
Right. And so I've been reading, if you go down the grocery aisles, there is a multitude of breakfast bars. So I've been reading a lot of labels on breakfast bars. And I recommend that people look at the fiber, because breakfast can be a good source of fiber in the day. Let's try to strive for 4 grams of fiber.
Okay.
Let's not have more than 6 grams of sugar. Now, a cereal bar would have a lot of carbohydrate, but let's try to avoid the concentrated sugars, and then
Okay.
looks for at least 6 grams of protein. Add a glass of milk to that, and you have a
Okay.
pretty good start to your day.
Okay. Now, getting the protein then at the noon meal when you have sandwiches or something, the sandwich meats seem to have a lot of salt or sodium in them. And that's something that probably isn't too good on a day-by-day basis to have sandwiches every noon.
Not the processed meat, because you're really adding the sodium to your
Yeah.
diet. And that is one of the new dietary guidelines, is for us all to read those labels
Okay.
and look for the sodium content.
So how do we do something other than a meat sandwich?
A lunch meat?
Yeah.
I think you could think about the night before, if you're cooking chicken breasts or something, cook an extra one that you could have part of that for your lunch the next day.
Put
You
it in a salad?
Put it in a salad.
Okay.
All good options for
Okay. Now beans and peas and those kind of things contain protein as well?
Yes, they do. They're good sources of protein. Nuts, legumes, peanut butter, those are all protein sources that would be depending on how you cook them or how you buy them. If you cook them from the dry, you can determine how much salt you add. If you're going to have canned products, you need to read that label and see how much sodium has been added.
Split pea soup would be a tasty noon meal.
It would be.
And it would have the protein in the split peas.
Yes, it would.
Okay. What about dairy products and the need for those in your diet? The vitamin D and the things you get from dairy products.
Calcium is always that elusive nutrient that we all need because it's important to maintaining the integrity of our bones. And if you're not a milk drinker, you're missing out. And so you need to be thinking about a calcium supplement, or you need to be thinking about some of the vegetable sources of calcium. Some of the dark greens, the broccoli.
So you can get calcium from vegetables as well.
Yes, you can. You need to be thinking about you know, what are good sources of some of those.
Well, and I realize as we age, sometimes we've got different problems. Maybe we've got high cholesterol and high blood pressure, and your husband has diabetes and overweight. So now we're looking at a very complex way of solving this. So I'm going to now ask Paula to jump in here because she's got a service available through Aging Partners where couples or individuals can come and get very specific help to enable them to eat healthy.
That's right. I'm a registered dietitian and I offer nutrition counseling services through the Aging Partners. This is a situation where I can provide nutrition therapy. I look at the individual food history, eating habits. I will review medications, lab work, body composition, and from that then I'm able to design a nutrition prescription that is unique to their nutrient needs. Then the next step is translating that into a menu or an eating pattern and taking some of these tools you talked about earlier, like the food label in the My Plate diagram to help put that together for us. So, for example, if an individual in the household, they have many different health conditions that require some dietary modification, I'm able to put that together for them as a package and also prioritize things.
So that you could actually help them develop menus that would get them through a week of grocery shopping so they know they have
and help them to focus on what's the priority. There's a lot of information out there and registered dietitians provide nutrition care that's evidence-based, so we know that it gets the outcomes that we're looking for to improve or promote the health of our clients.
Now, how does somebody avail themselves of that service? If they know they have some problems and really need some guidance, how do they get in touch with you, and what's the process that you go through?
That's a good question. The point of contact is to go to our Aging Partners website, would be one option. On that website, we have a checklist that has been validated to be able to pick up if someone is having nutrition problems, maybe some malnutrition. And it says, I think, 10 questions, yes or no, and then they're welcome to fill that form out and return it to our office, mail it into our office. There are also phone number that I can be contacted for a nutrition appointment. And that number is 402-441-7159.
So they can, if they don't have access to a computer that they could access the website, they can call you. And do you get this information over the phone, or do they have to ask for this form to be sent to them, or how does that happen?
What will most likely happen is that I will inquire or contact them by the phone and go through these questions to determine if they might have a specific problem that they do need some contact and follow up with. We do provide this nutrition screen document to all of the individuals who dine at our senior centers here in town, so they have all been screened. And this screening tool is also used by our other caseworkers who come in contact with our clients, because we want to ensure that we're providing for their nutritional needs as well, because it's just part of the whole picture of promoting and maintaining health.
Okay, so if they then, you've done the preliminary work with them, then you can make an appointment with them and they would come down and talk to you in your office and work out very specific guidelines.
Yes, I sit with the individual or the couple and determine what the priorities are and what their questions are. And typically it's about, say maybe a 3-month follow-up to work with them as they go through this process of identifying what needs to be changed, how they can change it, and for them to be able to report back what's working, what's not working, so we can continue to get toward the goal that they've set for themselves.
It could almost be a change in lifestyle for some of them, and that would take some monitoring along the way to be sure they're doing what they need to do.
That's so true. The change in lifestyle that takes counseling and other approaches besides knowing what to eat, it's how do I do it?
Okay.
What should I change? How do I change? How do I promote options to help me get that to happen?
Right. Okay. Well, we want to be sure we've got the website up on the screen so we know how to begin the process, and I hope you get a lot of people who come down and just keep you real busy, because I just think this is a very valuable service. There's so much good information, and as we age, we just have to keep working at staying healthy, and most of us, by the time you've in your mid-60s, are dealing with some kind of a health problem. I want to thank you both so much for coming. I think we've given out some good information that's been very helpful. And Live and Learn will be right back.
What does Medicare cover? How can I afford to keep living in my home? When I need help with house and yard work, who can I turn to? Why am I so tired? Am I eating right? Should I exercise? Where can I go for answers to my questions about aging?
Aging Partners is the place to call when you have questions on aging. Our experts are here to help you with unbiased answers for you or your loved ones. Aging Partners, we're only a phone call away.
Oh, my life is so busy. Between school, basketball practice, hobbies, friends, and homework. I run from one thing to another, so I need a snack that keeps my energy up and doesn't weigh me down. I have the best idea for snacks on the go. On grocery day, my mom and I wash and cut up all my favorite fruits and veggies. I mix fresh, frozen, even canned. It's all good. Then I pack them in snack boxes, one for each day of the week. I put one in my backpack and I'm good to go. Mom likes it because I eat it all and there's no waste, and she doesn't have to buy other snacks. She says that saves money, but all I know is that it tastes awesome. The boxes are reusable and that saves money too. It's a great way to make half your plate fruits and vegetables. For more information, please visit choosemyplate.gov.
Welcome back to Live and Learn. I'm Chris Beckenbaugh. My guest brings us a subject today that we may have heard about, but until we've really experienced, may not understand, and that's the subject of hospice. We have an expert in the field who has joined us, and it's Sarah Baltensperger from Pathways to Compassion Hospice.
Yes, thank you so much for having me, Chris.
It's my pleasure. How does a family go about making a decision to include hospice in their family loved one's care?
Well, of course, it's a very difficult decision for a family. Many times it's prompted by the physician. Other times it could be prompted by a staff at a facility, a staff member at a facility, or a family member. They may see a decline in a person and start introducing the idea of hospice to them. Oftentimes the family members decide that they'd like to do some research on hospice, as well as the agencies in the area. We really like to encourage family members to interview many hospices to see who they might be most comfortable with.
So Sarah, just straight up question, if someone is what we call placed on hospice, does that mean they're going to die imminently? Is that really what that means?
Not necessarily. Typically, someone who is eligible for hospice does have a prognosis of 6 months or less. This would also need to be somebody that would elect the hospice choice as well.
Okay. You said 6 months or less, but does that mean that somebody maybe could graduate from?
Absolutely.
And leave that program?
Absolutely. Oftentimes, people or patients who are receiving some additional care and attention, that helps them to get better. They maybe haven't had that additional attention. So having the extra care and the people coming to visit them and care for them, it certainly does help, and it can help those to feel better. So.
Is there a national organization that kind of oversees hospice? And
yes, the National Hospice and Palliative Care Organization. We work through them as well as CMS to define the guidelines for hospice.
okay, what's the word palliative mean?
Yes, oftentimes palliative care and hospice care can get very confused, but they're very similar in so many ways. Palliative care is a specialized area of healthcare that focuses on relieving and preventing the suffering of patients, just like hospice care. Now, unlike hospice care, palliative medicine is appropriate for patients of all stages, including those that are undergoing treatment for curable diseases as well as chronic diseases and end of life. Now, like hospice care, palliative medicine and hospice use an multidisciplinary team approach to patient care, and that can include physicians, nurses, chaplains, social workers, hospice aides, and really the whole team to determine the care that's needed for that patient.
What's the age range of people that you might see in hospice situations?
It can be anywhere, from 45 to 100. It really could be any age.
And what disease processes do you usually see that would lead someone to choose to be a part of a hospice care?
We typically see those with cancer. They may have liver failure, CHF, which is congestive heart failure, COPD. There are several that could qualify someone for hospice.
Okay. And just so everybody knows what we're talking about, COPD stands for?
Pulmonary disease.
Okay.
So,
okay.
yes. So
all
having
right.
trouble breathing. So.
Okay. So what are the services that a hospice organization would provide then for someone who's decided to go on this path?
Absolutely. Hospice is the only benefit that Medicare, Medicaid, and other private insurances do cover. This care would include the medications, the medical equipment, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week access to care, and that care would be provided by, again, the nurses, the hospice aide, the chaplain, and the social worker. And this also includes support for the family during the process and then after death as well.
Okay, okay. So you might work with a home care agency as well to provide the day-to-day service, but hospice is then their medical provider.
Absolutely.
Okay,
so
I'm trying to understand here.
Yes, so hospice does provide the medical piece. Hospice is not able to be a 24-hour caregiver. So that's where, if that's a need for the family, we want the family to be able to be the family, and we want to introduce caregivers, if that's an option for them, to the family. So because we're not a 24-hour caregiver, we would introduce and really encourage them to look into home care agencies.
Okay. How does a person determine if they're eligible to receive the benefits of hospice?
Absolutely. So what we would do is have one of the hospice nurses come and assess the patient. As you can see on the screen, there are several diagnoses that could qualify someone for hospice. What can start this process as well is seeing some simple declines in the person. So again, the hospice nurse could come and assess the patient, and that's free of charge.
Okay. And then from there, does it take a long time before this gets rolling, or?
Nope, it sure doesn't. Once that person's identified, it doesn't take long to determine whether they qualify or not. Once that's determined, the process starts. So we would work with and any hospice agency would work with the patients and the families to go through the hospice benefits, what will be included, and to get them admitted as soon as possible.
Okay. Okay, and I think I heard you say that these services are covered by Medicare and Medicaid and most private insurance.
Yes, absolutely. So especially with Medicare, it's something that we're paying for our whole life. Now this is our opportunity to use it. And some of the things that I mentioned, including the medical equipment and the care, are all covered through this benefit.
That's wonderful.
It's wonderful.
That's a wonderful thing.
Yes.
And there's support for the family, and these people could be in their own home or in a facility.
Yes. Yep, wherever they consider home, the hospice agency would go to them. So.
That's terrific.
Yes.
How did hospice originate? Do you know what the background is?
Yes. Ironically, the term can be traced back to medieval Europe, and it was determined as a place that travelers could find rest and shelter. Now, I love this definition because when many people think of hospice, they think of death and dying. But we try to help people think of hospice as a way to add life to their days through having that quality of life and rest at the end. So
rest.
Yes.
It really is about rest and just choosing as a family to just enjoy the time that you have together.
Exactly.
That's a beautiful thing.
It is.
It really is.
It is. It's wonderful.
What's the most important thing to remember concerning the wonderful service of a professional hospice organization?
It's never too early to start thinking about hospice. It's really important for families to do the research and to know what's out there. Not only do the patients benefit from this wonderful service, but also the families as well. As I mentioned before, they are also receiving the support emotionally and spiritually prior to that patient's death, but also after for over a year. So they would have access to that, as well as community resources. So the National Hospice and Palliative Care Organization did a study, and those who are put on hospice tend to live 29 days longer than maybe those who didn't receive that care through the additional attention and care that they're receiving.
That's wonderful.
Yes.
Wonderful. Sarah, is there anything else that you wanted to share with us, or?
I don't think so. There are some slides that have come across the screen, and one of them includes if you or one of your loved ones has experienced a decline, maybe a combination of some symptoms. It really is never too early to look into hospice and the benefits that they provide. Oftentimes we hear from our families that we wish we would have known about hospice sooner, or we wish we would have introduced this sooner.
And I know you in particular like to salute veterans as part of your services that you provide.
Absolutely. We have a wonderful program that includes a ceremony with the patients and their families if they desire, honoring them for their service.
Well, that's just terrific. Thank you for all this wonderful information, Sarah. It's been great having you.
Thank you for having me.
And we'll be right back.
Dr. R.E. Cycle here with a simple but important message. Recycling starts at home. That's right, it's up to you to take the first step. Setting up a home recycling system is easy, and you don't need much space. Find out how at recycle.lincoln.ne.gov. Recycling is good for our community and our planet, and you don't need to be a genius like me to get started. So do the right thing, the recycle thing.
It's time to re-energize Lincoln. This new program brings millions of dollars into our city to make homes and businesses more energy smart. And if you're in one of the 4 start zones, you could receive an energy evaluation and funding to help you upgrade your home or office. You can get up to $2,000 in incentives by making energy smart upgrades. You'll save money now and on future energy bills. Find out more at reenergizeprogram.org or call 877-402-5111.
Welcome to Live and Learn. I'm Lita Powell Drake, and today we're going to learn about some interesting phrases called cliches that you have probably spoken many times throughout the course of your life, or you've heard them from your grandparents or your parents or friends. And the interesting thing about these cliches is they originated a long time ago and have lost their meaning. So sometimes out of your mouth will come something that's totally inappropriate. We're going to take a look at these cliches today. We're going to go back in time and find out what they really mean. But to help us interpret these are 2 of Lincoln's funniest women, in my opinion. I may be alone in that opinion, but I'm going to hold it.
Our mothers support us, and we agree, so we're good.
Your mother's like you.
Yeah.
Like you. This is Julie Burney. Julie Burney's been doing motivational humor for about 30 years.
That's right.
You're teaching
when I was 6.
When you were 6. Yeah. What did you say when you were 6 that was so funny?
I'm not really sure, but people started laughing at me then, and I capitalized on that. So.
And so you've been doing that for 30 years.
Yeah, 30 years.
And teaching at Doane College.
Yes, Doane College here in Lincoln.
And Nebraska's Artist of the
I
Year.
was named Artist of the Year.
Wow.
So, yeah.
And you have worked with this lady.
Yes.
Her
I
name
gave
is
her some really sage advice when she started.
I don't know what that means, but yes, she did.
Beth Muehling is with us today. I was in a play with Beth at the Lincoln Community Playhouse. She played my daughter. And that's where I first realized how funny you are. Every time I look at her, I laugh. I mean, she just makes, she makes
I'm
me
not
laugh.
sure that's a compliment.
It is, it is.
It is. That's what I say. Yeah.
And she does improv humor.
I do.
You go around and explain to people what improv humor is.
Improv humor is doing games or sketches or songs or something just right off the top of our heads. We don't rehearse. It's not written word or song or anything like that. We base all of our stuff off of suggestions from the audiences for which we are playing. An awful lot like Whose Line Is It Anyway on television, that kind of thing. Some of my short games, theater games.
And are you
stuff.
still a lineman for the county?
I am, yes.
That means
I
she
am.
works for Time Warner Cable.
That's right. Notice how I just followed right along
Who
with her.
who is airing this program? Time
That's
Warner
right,
Cable,
of course
which is
they are.
very good.
Why
Okay.
do you think I'm here?
Shall we practice?
Let's
Now,
do it.
what we're going to be doing today is called etymology. E-T-Y-M-O-L-O-G-Y. It's the study of the origin of words.
Oh, thank
Not
goodness.
entomology, because
wasn't
that's
sure.
bugs. See what you're going to learn on
I'm
this
not sure I should be here because I came prepared for bugs.
Okay,
It
now,
bugs me that
okay,
you
what
said
I want
that.
everybody at home to do now, we're going to put the phrase on the screen. I want you to take a look at it and see what you think it means, or have you ever said that particular phrase? And then I'll ask our knowledgeable pros here what it means. And then, when they're wrong, I'll give you the exact meaning.
She's assuming.
Okay, all right, shall we begin? Now, we're going to
All right,
start
good.
with
Let's do it.
mad as a hatter.
Mad as a hatter.
Think about that at home now. Look at it on the screen. Mad as a hatter. Have you ever
Do you
used
know
that?
this one? I do.
Sure, go for it. Do it.
Have you ever tried to make a hat? It makes you mad.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that is a good idea.
Exactly.
No, I'm not going to do it.
That's right.
Because I don't want to be mad.
Because it's a lot of little details and stuff. And you
Right.
get really mad, and you don't want to walk in on somebody making a hat. 'Cause
Sure.
Then you'd be mad as a hatter too.
Oh, sure.
Well, it's not exactly that meaning, but that's a good interpretation.
Okay.
Actually, what it is, this dates back to the 1800s. And remember, women wore hats, the great big hats, and they were made in factories.
Sure.
And the workers on the line who made the hats, which were made out of felt, used mercury. Mercury.
really were
Mercury
that kind of
poisoning.
mad.
Yes, over the
And they
course
went in-
of
they literally
time,
went crazy.
It absorbed in the skin, and the workers started to get a little goofy. And the longer they worked there, they got total dementia.
Yeah.
So that's where the phrase came from. Mad.
Wow, I bet that's where some of the interesting hats came from.
Yeah. Look at Cher. Look at some of Cher's outfits.
That's right.
How about
Okay,
that
now,
Lady Gaga? She's
that
got
was
some
just a
mercury
test.
poisoning.
All right. That
Okay,
was our
now you
practice
got it
one.
at home. You see how we're going to play this game? Okay. All right.
And I
now,
lost already.
Our next one is good night, sleep tight, don't let the bed bugs bite.
Oh, I know this one
Oh, do you?
actually.
Okay.
Yeah. This actually originated from UNL.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree
Because
with that.
no, it's true. It all came from UNL. I think the chancellors all got together and said, "Hey, let's play a trick," and they did. It's just really just a joke on people, especially college students who need to learn before they go out into the real world.
That's right.
That's exactly what
And
it
they
is.
ran from the dorms.
They
Do you remember?
did. They
Oh,
did.
wow. It was
Screaming
something,
and
yeah.
hollering and oh, man.
Well, let's go back a little before they had mattresses and beds as we know them. Let's go back to the 1700s. There were no mattresses.
Mummies.
Mummies?
Yeah. No.
Well, no, they were
Not
dead. The people were not. We're
Oh, they
talking
were still
about
alive.
a bed.
Okay.
So you got
There
you
were
have
no
you have the
mattresses.
slats on the bed, and then what you did was they put ropes in there. That was holding you up. The ropes had to be tightened because as you slept there, over time the ropes would sag. So you actually tightened them. Sleep tight. And then there were no mattresses, it was a pallet of straw. And the straw, over time, you get little bugs, you get little varmints in there.
Sure.
And so the whole idea was, good night, sleep tight. We'll tighten you up.
Yeah.
Don't let the bed
I had
bugs
no
bite.
idea.
Isn't
I
that- have
didn't
you ever used that
either.
one at home?
But that, I will tell you, that reminded me of waterboarding for some reason. I don't know why.
I could relate to the sagging part.
Yeah.
I didn't know. Anyway.
Okay, now, you ready for the next one?
Yes.
Now, and I'm sure you've used this one. That cost an arm and a leg. That cost an arm and a leg.
I do know what that one is.
You do?
Actually, it was my grandmother. And it'll surprise you because they bought a new dining room set. And she was talking about the old dining room set, and she said for what they paid for this one, they paid for an arm and a leg. See, there was a difference in pricing. You know
Oh, it's like an arm of the furniture and a leg of the furniture?
Yeah, that's what it cost to buy the old one, just one arm and one leg.
So they didn't
It was
actually
much
cut off an
cheaper.
arm or a
No,
leg.
she was
See, that's
doing
where
a
I was
comparison.
going.
Oh, did
Because
they?
that is really expensive.
Yeah.
Check the insurance claims on
Oh
that.
my
That is,
gosh.
your arm's only worth like
Actually, it
30,000.
goes back a little further than that
Oh.
because before photography, remember, you had to have your portrait painted by an artist, and it was usually a head and shoulders portrait.
Like shampoo.
But if you wanted the full body, it's going to cost you for the arm and the leg. Hey, that's where. So
Gosh,
it's
if
going
I
to
had a
cost
pig
you
done,
an
I really
arm
would just want my
and a
arm.
leg.
That's my best part.
That's just like a masseuse.
Okay, now
You're
here,
right.
are you ready for the next one?
Yes.
Let's jump
doing
on the
so well.
bandwagon. Jump on the bandwagon.
Right now, do it? Oh, that's the thing.
That's it.
Got it.
You don't have to jump on the bandwagon. Where do you think that came from? Folks at home? You ever use that?
Well, I know that this comes from France. I know that this is for sure.
Yeah?
No, I know it is. Yeah. Bande à la wagon. You've heard that,
Yes,
right?
of
Yeah,
course, of
yeah.
course, yeah.
Back with Queen Mary and King Elizabeth and all that.
Yeah.
So they would hire jesters to come out, but they'd put them on a wagon, and then they'd squeeze
You
them
know
in
what's
tight
really
with the bed
interesting?
bugs biting and things.
That is not what I thought it meant at all.
Yeah, but I know I'm right.
Well, no, because when I was in high school, we did not yet have a band, right?
Oh.
Until I was a senior, and we all had to pay the instruments that whatever we had at home. Sadly, my dad played the slide trombone, so that's what I played. Well, we couldn't march and play at the same time our first year, so we got on a big wagon. And so
like they
would
pulled
say,
the
jump
wagon?
on the bandwagon, and then we went on a parade. That's right.
Well, I think
Yeah,
it went
it was a
back a
hay
little
wagon.
before your parade, though. It
Oh.
actually goes back to, and you're going to love this, folks, William Jennings Bryan. Our Nebraska
ours.
Jennings Bryan,
Nebraskan.
who ran for president 3 times. He didn't make it, 1896, 1900, and 1908.
And I didn't vote in any of
You didn't
those.
vote in
No.
any of them?
Well, I wasn't
Well,
registered.
he was the one who actually wanted to get some attention with his politicking. So he hired a big horse-drawn carriage, got a band on it. This was a political thing. Hey, I'm running for president, on mankind shall not be crucified upon a cross of gold, William Jennings Bryan. And with all this noise and political going into town saying, I have arrived, this is politics at its best. Come on, jump on the bandwagon.
So jumping on the bandwagon means I support you.
Yes, well, and then he would give them little gifts, like the politicians do today. Like little gifts. You get little gifts when you jump on the bandwagon, don't you?
Oh,
This
wow.
is giving me
that-
an idea.
Wow. Maybe today's politicians could learn from that.
Well, it makes a lot of sense.
All right, we're going to move right along here. How about don't throw the baby out with the bathwater? You ever said that? Don't throw the baby out with the bathwater.
Yeah, I've done that once. And you actually get arrested because they don't like you actually throwing a baby out with the bath water. I made a mistake. I thought it was a towel.
Oh, yeah.
And,
well, they're so white. It's hard to tell when they're
that's the
young.
thing.
Yeah.
Really, you've got it. We're going back to the time where you didn't have hot running water, and it was great effort to have to cut the wood and burn the wood and heat the water and so forth in a great big tub, in a tin tub. So it'd be one for the family. Guess who got to go in the tub first? The male, the head of the household, followed by the
he probably
sons,
smelled the
followed
worst.
by the wife, followed by the daughters, and the last person to get in there was the little baby. By this time, the water was so dirty. And someone might say, oh, wait, he almost lost the baby. Don't throw the baby out with
So
the
that's
bathwater.
legitimate.
Isn't that
Wow.
interesting?
I'm never saying that
Okay.
again.
All right.
Never.
Okay.
I'm not saying it.
That takes the cake. That takes the cake. Have you ever heard that one?
I have. But I was talking about my brother.
Sure.
I mean, he walked out
Again,
of the kitchen with it.
he did?
Yeah.
Oh, well, see, again, this goes back to France.
big
And
on
this is
France.
all about Napoleon. This is Napoleon. And by the way, this is also how he got a tart named after him. So I can't remember exactly how it goes, but it's something along
It's
the
brilliant,
lines
whatever
of.
it is.
Yeah, I don't have a clue what that
Okay.
means at
This
all.
goes back to Civil War.
Oh.
And
I was
and
close.
the African Americans would want a little break from working in the fields, and so what they would do was the husband and wife, or the man and woman, for entertainment and amusement, would promenade. And they would promenade arm in arm, and there was a prize to be given for those who were the most delicate, the most lovely,
my.
you know, in their carriage and their body posture, and a cake was the prize. So the best couple won the cake. That takes the cake. And from that came the cake
walk. I was just going to say, short.
Yeah.
Cake walk.
Okay, all right, we're running out of time and we all get so much, this is so much fun. Okay, mind your P's and Q's. Mind your P's and Q's. You've heard that one, I'm sure. Have you heard that one?
I have heard that one. I've never done it.
Now, you know what it means? I know what it means.
You have.
You do.
I do know what it means. Mind your P's and Q's means mind your pints and quarts. I know that, but I have no idea if this has any, relativity to alcoholics or what. But I think it has to do with alcoholism.
Well, you're really right. In England, you're right. In
Wouldn't
England,
you know? You'd know the alcoholic
at
one.
the
Well,
pub,
wow.
men would go into the pub and they would order a pint or a quart of beer. And remember in the old days, and many of you, we used to be able to charge things at the grocery store. Well, you could at the pub. And if you hadn't paid your bill, you're coming in, you'll say, 2 pints.
Right.
And the bartender would look at the list and he'd say, mind your P's and Q's, mind your pints and your quarts, time to pay your bill.
Wow.
So you're right about that. Okay, one last one,
All right,
unfortunately,
here
we're
we
running
go.
out of time.
Here we go.
Is, and this is appropriate, break a leg. Break a leg. Break a leg.
I do know where that came from, actually.
I knew you would.
Yeah. Well, it's because someone broke their leg and they continued to perform, and they gave the best performance of their life. And after that, everybody said, break a leg. Am I right about that?
No.
I was pretty sure.
No, but I mean, it's theater.
I'm going to go right behind you. I think she is right.
Oh, okay. Well, the whole idea of if you do a wonderful performance and the audience just loves you so much, you bow. And you keep on bowing because the applause is so thunderous. May you bow so deeply that you break your leg. So it's a reverse kind of wishing you good luck. Break a leg.
Or for the egotistical people who continue to bow over and over again, they actually do break their leg because they want so much more
So you could
applause.
actually say, may you fall on your face. Because when you bow, if you don't lose balance.
I like it.
So
I
that's
like
how
it.
I'm going to wish you
This-
that kind of luck.
I'm going to wish that for you every day.
Fall on your face.
Fall on your face.
Okay, we have one more, and this will be theater too.
All right.
Steal the limelight. Have you ever stolen the limelight?
Well,
Yeah, you know this one.
You know this one?
yeah, no, go ahead.
No. Well, stealing the limelight again goes back to alcohol. Because people like to put limes in
France.
their drinks in France. But they like to light it up so they know that it's a lime and not a lemon.
Yeah.
Because with that light,
I think it goes back to Star Trek when they used to put the rosy lights on the women and they would steal the limelight out so the women would look healthier.
Oh, that is correct.
do think that's
I
right.
think you're right too.
Well, there was
I have never seen her speechless before.
okay. In the old days, before they made really film, we're beginning to try to experiment with film. They used lime in order to create a light, a very bright, intense light. That's the first light that was used in photography, in making film. And then the lighthouses picked up that very bright light, to guide the ships in. And finally it came to the stage, because they had to light up. Remember, there were gas lamps before on the theater.
Sure.
The footlights were gas lamps, which are very dangerous because it burned buildings down.
Yeah, who
so
cares
now
about
they,
breaking a
they
leg when you
could
got that
use this
happening?
lime, and it was very intense. And so if you're an actor and you're performing and the audience loves you, well, you'll get right into that bright spotlight and you have stolen the limelight.
So it's not fruit.
Yeah, not the citrus.
Not citrus.
You're talking about like
No.
limestone
No.
kind of thing.
Yeah.
Because that would be high in
Yeah.
fructose.
Oh,
Ah, well,
you're gonna
this
gain
we
a lot of
only
weight.
just started. I had so many, but we were having so much fun.
And we were doing so well.
We were-
Amazing. Yeah.
Well, maybe you'll have to come back.
We could.
Okay,
Let's do
all
that.
right.
Yeah, we'll do
Julie
it.
Burney, Beth Muelling, funny
It's been
ladies.
great fun.
I adore them both. Thank you for being with us on Live and Learn. And break a leg.
Fall on your face.
Fall on your face.
Okay, and Live and Learn will be back right after this.
The City of Lincoln is excited to announce StarTrans Bike and Bus program. Bikes and buses make great traveling partners. Here's how to make them work for you. At the bus stop, step off your bike before the bus arrives. Wait until the bus has come to a complete stop and then approach it from the curbside only. Cyclists are responsible for the loading, securing, and unloading of their bikes. Instructions are printed on the rack. First, hold your bike with one hand and lower the rack with the other. The rack is light and easy to move. Next, place the bike in the wheel wells. Secure it by putting the front wheel on the rack as indicated. The rack will hold 2 bikes but is not designed for tricycles, tandem bikes, or motorized bikes. Then, place the support arm over the top of the tire. The rack contacts only the tires and no contact is made with the frame, reducing any potential damage. StarTran is not responsible for loss, damage, or theft. Before boarding the bus, make sure you remove any bags, bottles, or other detachable items. You may want to sit near the front of the bus so when approaching your stop, you can let the driver know you will be unloading your bike. To unload your bike, simply lower the support arm and lift your bike out of the rack toward the curb. If the rack is empty, fold it back up against the bus. Step away from the bus with your bike and wave to let the driver know you are clear. Wait until the bus is passed. Never cross in front of a bus. The Bike and Bus program is designed for you and your bike to get on board. For more information, visit getonboard.lincoln.ne.gov or call 476-1234.
Dr. R.E. Cycle here with a simple but important message. Recycling starts at home. That's right, it's up to you to take the first step. Setting up a home recycling system is easy and you don't need much space. Find out how at recycle.lincoln.ne.gov. Recycling is good for our community and our planet, and you don't need to be a genius like me to get started. So do the right thing, the recycle thing.
Welcome back to Live and Learn. You know, we're all aware of how the National Guard has been involved with skirmishes in Iraq and Afghanistan. You know, there was a time when the majority of the activity of the National Guard was dealing with blizzards or ice jams or problems here within our state. But things are different now. So I have as a guest who's going to tell us a little bit about what it was like back then. My guest, General Edward Binder, who was head of the National Guard here in Lincoln. And so, General Binder, welcome to Live and Learn.
Thank you very much.
All right. Now, you grew up in Nebraska.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And Omaha was home base for you.
I was born and raised in Omaha.
Where'd you go to high school?
I went to Omaha Central.
All right. Now, you didn't stay in high school in Omaha all the time, did you?
In high school, yes.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah, I was in the ROTC program at Omaha Central and the cadet program prior to that. Then I went to military school, Kemper Military School in Boonville, Missouri, for my junior college.
And after your military school, then you actually went into the Army?
I graduated in May and June. I went down and volunteered for the Army, and that started my career in 1943.
And this was, of course, Second World War?
Second World War, correct.
Okay. Now, you were probably stationed in the European theater?
I was. My first assignment was at Camp Roberts, California, where I was a cattleman for about a year and training individuals to be soldiers. Then I went overseas and in the European theater with the 71st Division.
Okay, so then you got out in 46, married. Tell us about family here.
Got out and got married to a lovely lady who unfortunately isn't with us anymore. And we had a family with 2 children and bounced around a little bit. We were in Colorado, and that was my first stint with the National Guard. It was in the Colorado National Guard.
But you were actually working for the Chamber of Commerce.
I was at that time.
Okay.
And then I went to Gallup, New Mexico, where I was with the New Mexico National Guard, again with the Chamber of Commerce. Then we decided that maybe I ought to come back to Nebraska, so we did. And in 1950, I got in the Nebraska National Guard and started a career there.
Well, now you went up to the ranks, but you were head of the maintenance division for a while.
I was, well, first, Harlan, it started out with an administrative assistant to an artillery battalion, which was full-time guard duty. And then from there, they transferred me to Lincoln, where I became the maintenance officer for the entire state, which included all aircraft and vehicles and armories. Now, this was the Army side. The air side, I was a coordinator at that time.
Okay. Now, I remember you making reports to the legislature, to hearing about your activity of how things were around the state. Ice jams were one of those. Now, it wasn't some outside group that was involved. You were involved.
Yeah, very much so.
Okay.
I flew the Platte River that I knew every tributary by the back of my hand. And I worked flood, fires, tornadoes, airplane crashes in my career, and a railroad accident down at Crete where anhydrous ammonia was leaking. So I've been the gamut. Which one you like to talk about, we'll talk about.
Well, the thing of it is in those days, there wasn't specialists that dealt with bombings or that sort of thing. You got those calls in the middle of the night? And
yeah, I did the early part of when the explosives became an item. I was involved in that. I was the only one involved. We didn't have trained personnel with robots and all those type of instruments that they have today. And I'm glad they've got them, because there is an element of risk when you go out on one of these and look and see what it is, where it is, and what condition it's in.
Yeah, you get a call that somebody's found an artillery shell.
Yes.
Yeah.
That happens, and you have to first survey it and make sure that it's reasonably safe. And I say reasonably because in many cases there's no such thing as assuredly safe.
Okay.
So you make your best judgment from there on, you get rid of it. And in some cases where we had a artillery shell, as you point out, we couldn't handle it. I'm talking about the removal of it and the eventual disposal. So we'd have to call it Fort Riley, and they sent up an EOD team, and they did the work for us.
Okay.
So,
but you were first responder, so to speak.
First responder, and been all over the state doing that type of thing. But I look back and I think I'm lucky that I'm still here.
Well, I'm sure there's probably some situations where you wondered whether you might not be coming back from this one. Huh?
Yeah, yes, sir.
Okay. Floods, blizzards?
Floods, blizzards, and tornadoes.
Okay.
We've gone the whole gamut, and we're talking about my experience, but I'd like to sidetrack for a moment and talk about the Guard. The Guard has a dual mission, which one is a state and one is a federal. When everyone enlisted in the Guard, they swear to uphold the Constitution of the United States and the state of Nebraska. So we are trained for a military job, or military skill. We trained on the weekends for that. But then the other responsibilities we had were floods, fires, tornadoes, natural disasters, and man-made disasters.
All right. Well, one of my experiences was associated with civil defense, and a part of that then was an arm which was Civil Air Patrol.
Right.
And the Guard worked with those?
We had the Civil Air Patrol involved with us on many occasions. For example, we had an airplane that was with 5 college students from Minnesota, I believe, where the airplane was lost with its passengers between Colorado and their home base in Minnesota. It was determined it was in our area, and the Civil Air Patrol performed many search missions for us, searching by quadrant an area. And we finally found the airplane.
Yeah. So after a very illustrious career with the National Guard, from the basic starting at the bottom and going clear to the top, then after you retired, you got involved with what's known as the Selective Service.
Yes, sir. I was state director of Selective Service. Closed it out, in fact, and took it from an active status to an inactive status. We had offices in various counties in the state, throughout the state.
Well, now, were you actually then overseeing the actual drafting?
No, at that time, the draft board, per se, had become inactive, or were becoming inactive.
Okay.
And about that time, the president declared that the draft would end, the draft as taking people would end.
Okay. Now, you, I think, if I recall, you started that career in '43, and you retired then in '83.
That's correct.
40 years.
40 years.
40 years of service. But you didn't stop there. You continued to do service to our community.
Yes.
I see you out here in front of the city-county building as a volunteer at the information desk.
Right.
What brought you down there?
Well, let's go back a little ways.
Okay.
There was the RSVP program, which now is not.
Okay.
In fact, started a program called Volunteer of the Month. And this was a lady who is now deceased, and I were given the task to start this program. And each division within the county and city was invited to nominate a volunteer in their program. And through a series of judges, we decided which one was deserving the honor. And once a month, we'd bring him in, and before the county commissioners make a presentation of a plaque and recognize them for their service. Then I got from there, they said, well, you're a pretty good lad. How about doing some homestead exemption? So I looked at that, and I got involved, and that was many years ago, and I'm still involved in the homestead exemption as far as helping people fill out their forms. And then they said, well, you know, you're around here quite a bit. Why don't you help us at the information desk? And that's what I've been doing here for 7, 8, 9 years. And all in all, I've served the county in a volunteer, city county in a volunteer status for 20-some years.
Okay. And of course, the thing that is so obvious to me is that you're up on all of these offices. Somebody comes in and asks a question about a particular office, city, county. You can tell them, no, they need to go to the over to the police division, judicial area, or where it is, 3rd floor, 2nd floor. You just know all the information about it.
That's part of our job.
That's part of your job. Well, it has been, I know, an interesting career, and you're obviously a people person. You just fit right in out there, and never a cross moment you come across real positive, and sometimes the public can be kind of frustrating, but
sometimes, yes.
Sometimes, yeah. But you do a great job, and
thank you.
And I've noticed this as I come in and out of the city county building that General Edward Binder is truly a community servant and is very much a well-respected volunteer for the city county building. And so, Ed, thanks for coming to being on the Live and Learn show, and appreciate you taking the time to come from the desk back here for a little video.
Thank you, Arlen. It's been a pleasure. It's been a long time since you and I worked together at the state capitol.
Well, yes, and that's one of the reasons that I wanted to have this man on the show, because I remember how good a job he did addressing the legislature with concerns. And remember, it's never too late to live and learn.